All right, everybody, thank you for coming. It's an opportunity, for myself and obviously Vince to wrap up the season and talk about all the great accomplishments that we've had over the past few years, and I'm sure we'll talk about the future. We just finished our seventh straight year of playing in a regional final with 45 wins, and I was really proud of this group. We kept this thing going. We ran into a buzzsaw, and obviously we still wish we were playing today, but I thought this group accomplished an awful lot. How we played down the stretch, literally being a base hit away from winning our first ever ACC Conference Tournament Championship, maybe a win or two or three away from hosting our sixth consecutive regional here at Jim Patterson Stadium, and so the group knew I was really proud of them and happy at the way we competed, and that put us at 554 wins in our 12-year run here, which is number one in the country. And so I want all those players over that 12-year stretch to be really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We finished our 14th consecutive semester with a team GPA over a 3.0. I'm super proud of what we're doing academically, and these kids are achieving in the classroom. They're getting a phenomenal education, and they're graduating, with a challenging dynamic as pro ball continues to take our players early, which is great. Our goal is to prepare these guys for the next level. So 8 players drafted over the last 3 days, which I believe we've averaged 8 the last 3 years, 24 players in these last 3 years, with signing bonuses that are probably going to get us into the 23+ million area. So very happy for these guys and the opportunity they get to chase their dream of trying to be a big leaguer. We had 7 signees get drafted, and I'm sure we'll lose 1 or 2 of them, but a good many of them will show up, and the future's super bright, combined with all the returning talent that we have. I didn't say we were young an awful lot this year, but obviously if you follow the program, you knew that we were young in some areas, and but we grew up quickly, and next year we'll have a great balance of older players and super talented young players. I think we've had 5 guys playing the big leagues this summer, and 4 currently going, and super proud of those guys, and many guys on the doorstep, AAA, AA, High A, and doing great things. So as we continue to get a lot of players drafted, we obviously have several that have made it to the big leagues, and many knocking on the doorstep. So last but not least, I'm really proud of what this group has done in the community, that we continue to give back to the community. We love, obviously, this university, but man, we love the city of Louisville, and whether it's Gilda's Club, the Lord's Kitchen, Coast Air Children's Hospital, Love City, the Susan G. Komen, we have been involved. Just to mention a few, FCA, that's right. Chris Morgan wouldn't have been happy if I didn't mention FCA. But I mean, it's important. I mean, at the end of the day, we always say good kids win. Kids who go to class, kids who perform well in the classroom, kids who perform in the community, kids who know how to treat people, and obviously kids who work hard and utilize the talents and gifts that they have. So I'm really happy where we're at today, and super excited about the future, and obviously I'm sure that's why Vince is here. So I'll hand it off to Vince.
Thanks, Dan. Obviously Dan hit on a lot of highlights of why he and I have continued to talk, since I've assumed this role. Everybody knows that I've got a baseball background, so we talk a lot about what it's like to be a student athlete, and particularly in a college baseball program, and then the challenges of wanting to play pro baseball and where that goes, and then the challenge of, frankly, completing your degree. So we talk about the program, and obviously Dan's our leader in that program, but I would say that we talk about the program in total. So that's what I enjoy about the conversations that we've had and the relationship we've developed probably since going back when we first met. years ago when Dan first arrived in Louisville, and certainly over the last 8 months getting work day to day with him, as you know, it makes this last week, and particularly these last few days, very comfortable for us to talk openly about what we'd like to see out of the Louisville program together, and and not only what he's accomplished, but where we want to go from here, and whether that be with the kids. Certainly, we have similar goals on their student athlete experience. You know, that we provide. As Dan mentioned, we're fortunate we have great talent that comes in here, and more's coming. I'm in tune with what's going on in the next couple of years, recruiting classes, who they are, the type of kids they are, where they fit, and getting them in here in summer school before they start their freshman year is key, because a lot of them are talented enough to leave after their junior year. So more investment in summer school, more investment in the kids, and moving them on is important to both of us. I think we agree on that. I think thinking about the resources that Dan also needs on facilities, I think we're both in alignment that we want a great atmosphere as much as more seats, and I think we've talked about how to accomplish that. Even facilities related to what we have today with our team, and where certain specialties you know, are going, and more indoor activities and so forth. You know, these things where we're exactly on the same page about the kids, about the program. The staff is important. So before we ever, excuse me, really even talked about Dan himself, we talked about the staff. You know, we got Coach Vrabel, Williams, we got, you know, Coach Snyder, you know, we say Coach Mundorf, Brian, Garrett's certainly a part of this team. A lot of them play a role in here. Michael's in here today. This whole staff, we talk about where we are with our staff, how we're going to continue to compete for the ultimate goal of national championship, of winning a College World Series, but also how we continue to produce great kids. And as they come in here, Dan talked about GPAs, what we do from an academic side, and then just development of the kids is really important. It is to me. I enjoy it. I try to spend time with these kids, and I said one of the most rewarding points of the season for me, it was when we had unfortunately lost to that buzzsaw Texas Tech, and we came back to the hotel, and everybody's kind of, you know, a little down, and we're going to go eat a meal together, and we're standing in the lobby waiting for the elevators, and I shared this with Dan, when Josh Stowers comes up, who knows he's going to get drafted in the next 48 hours, and says, "Hey Vince, I'm going to be back in the fall when I'm done, and can I internship with you? You know, I'd like to hang out with you, be mentored, and learn more about what it's like to be an athletic director." And similar, on the way to the airport the next day with Devin Mann, asked if he could sit in the seat next to me on the bus to talk about what he can do this fall when he comes back. Those are the things that I think Dan gets to experience every day. And as an AD, you don't get to experience that every day, but a lot of days. And those are the things that are rewarding to us as a team with these kids in terms of what we put out here. And I think that's where it makes it easy to have a common bond about, we're certainly going to take care of all those aspects and think about the resources we have, and then the resources we have available to Dan individually in his contract to make it enticing for him to want to be here. But there's no worry about us knowing that Julie and Dan want to be here with their kids, Jake and Justin. There's no worry about them wanting to be involved in the community and how much they love the city and as much as they love the program and the university. And I say that to Dan a lot. We want you to be a Louisville guy. We want the family to be Louisville people, and really build upon what we have here. And I'm very committed to helping him build this program to where he wants to go. And I think and I've made that clear, as I say all along, I don't just creed those things. You have to do them, and your actions do speak. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is be thoughtful in all those aspects of summer school, of development, of career development, internships, of resources for facilities, and then certainly the almighty dollar in terms of thinking about how we take care of our staff and how we're competitive to keep everybody focused on the same goal, and that those distractions that may come along, you put those to the side. And Dan does a great job of that in all aspects, including any distractions. We know why people want to flirt excuse me, with Dan. You know, the wins that he's had over the career are a part of it, but what he's produced in a lot of high quality kids, and the feedback we get from parents is validating of why people want to flirt with Dan. And I think we're willing to make sure that we're on a date together for a long time, and that this is where he's going to stay. And I'm going to do everything in my power and to keep him here and keep producing the type of kids and type of winning seasons we've had. And I think, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, we have a new president here, and Neely Bendapudi, and she's been terrific. In this term, I've kept her up to date, even going back before she started full time, as to what we're trying to accomplish in the program. And sitting next to me is one of the things we want to accomplish in the program. And I think I've been clear with Dan on Neely's support all along. Even most recently, I don't want to, I certainly don't pester Dan about, we have a common thing, we don't like to talk about those things, so we have to talk about those things related to seasons or contracts or wrap up and where we are within an assessment of the program. That's common with me, with the other coaches as well. But Neely's been hand in hand with both of us and the support of making sure that someone who really represents this program and this community and university is going to be here. And I can't say enough about that in her early days and how I foresee things playing out as it relates to athletics and certainly keeping great people like Julie and Dan around the program and the community. With that, I'll certainly open up to questions.
Vince, have you determined in these last couple of days whether, in order to be competitive in the market, as you said, you have to restructure Dan's team?
Yeah, I think Dan and I have talked about that. We certainly know that compensation has changed dramatically in baseball and will. We're both in tune with that. I've been in tune with that as a fan as much as an AD of what's happening. Even since Dan's contract a couple years ago, it's changed, and it's going to continue to change with TV and media around it. It's going to change. I'm aware of where we can go. What I believe our opportunities are inside of our own budget. I've been clear with Dan on that. Are we going to be the highest in competing in every facet in terms of incentives and all those things? I think what I would say is we're going to be competitive. Dan's always going to be at the top. I'm not going to say I know I'd love for him to say, like, yeah, I'm going to be the top. We both say it. But I think we know where we are. And as I said, his compensation is one component of the program. And I'm not trying to dismiss that in lieu of my ability to fund more aid for summer school and more things inside the program, his staff, these facilities. So I think we look at it as a program as much as Dan's contract. And I was clear when we've talked in those conversations about that. The good thing is we're in sync. So there'll be tweaks to the contract. It'd be an amendment. We go to, like I said, I've been clear with Neely on that. We have we have a EULA Personnel Committee meeting on the 12th of this month, and we'll go talk about that in that session. And I think there's a lot of trust amongst Neely, Dan, and I that will go to that committee, and I think we'll have the proper support to keep everybody in sync.
Have you guys discussed, the pro locker room that's been bannered about, or other things here at the stadium?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to take lead. You want to take lead?
No, it's that's the most exciting thing when you get a chance to sit down on the events and just the vision of the future, and the pro locker rooms right there at the top, because it's something we had thrown around for the past few years, and as we look at how many professional guys we have out there, we seem to be in the 30s almost every year of current professional guys running around trying to make it to the big leagues or playing in the big leagues and hopefully sticking in the big leagues. What a neat thing, that pro locker room, and twofold, to encourage those kids to come back and graduate, as many do leave early after their junior year, but also, as we're succeeding, graduating them within that 3.5 year window, or that one more semester they might have after they graduate. We want them, this is their home, or their second home, if you want to call it that, and it's such a healthy environment for them to come back in the off season, have a place to work out, and they love the facilities, they love being around the coaches and the players, they utilize all the resources that they have, but we also want it to be comfortable for them, that they're welcome down here, and they love being around the current players, but it also gets a little crowded with how many pro guys we've had in the last couple off seasons. So a separate facility just for those pro guys. And Aaron and Ashley Flaker gave the lead gift, which was awesome. And we're going to get the rest of the funding done and get that done hopefully as soon as possible. But that was one area that I think is really cool. Obviously our current players like that, but the pro guys need to have their own facility when they come back, because it's a long off season. They finish early September and they don't go back till February or so, and some of them March, and we got to make sure they're getting after it in the off season. And I might not be their current coach, but man, I stay on them about what they do in the off season, and it's not just me, it's all the coaches and all the resources they have here. This is their second home, and they're a part of this family forever. So it's been really cool to be a part of their development and help them get to the big leagues.
Is there a time frame when you'd like to start seeing shovels or anything like that?
Yeah. So, one, I would say that on that note, when I played, Jeff Parrott was a guy, he ended up pitching probably 14, 15 years in the majors, and he was one of my kind of mentors. He used to come back and hang around the Kentucky program, and I get it. I mean, that's something I get right away. Jeff changed in the car in the parking lot, when he came, and a lot of these pro guys did when they come hang out. And they like sharing time with the current players, but there's conversation that pro guys want to talk to pro guys, and giving them that environment to share their stories of what's going on and how to deal with issues in their life. Adjusting to pro ball needs to happen outside our own locker room, in fairness to them, and I think that's one of the things we've talked about. I think on the timeline, I'm ready to get. I mean, Aaron's ready. Aaron Flaker, was mentioned, ready. He and I are in regular conversation. We're ready to get going from a budgeting standpoint to get that. Rob Bronner, who heads up the facilities, he and I met yesterday morning, as we do, and we're ready to go and get the RFPs and start looking at the process of getting it going. So ideally, if we get this going, it could get happening here in the next 60 days, and most are aware of the location. We're looking at behind our home team dugout under the stands, and it's something that it shouldn't, because we have utilities and stuff in there already, it should be a shorter project as well. So, if we get into the fall, I hope we're done.
You say someone had already given a gift toward it?
Yes, Aaron Flaker is our lead donor on that.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, it sounded like talks with another school or schools was pretty serious. What was that the case, and what brought you back here?
Well, I would say pretty serious. I think anytime an athletic director inquires about you, it's serious. But it's happened throughout the years, and I think as a college baseball coach, you're intrigued by what's going on across the country. And right now, college baseball is at an all-time high. And I'm blessed, and many of us are blessed, because there are some, I say, great college baseball athletic directors out there. I think you always got to be a football or a basketball guy or girl because of the revenue that those sports generate. But an Olympic sport like baseball, that in many parts of the country can generate revenue, but fan experience, as Vince talked about, and this was a tough spring. I mean, the weather was tough. Our schedule was front loaded with great teams, and it was tough on our fans, but we want to make sure they continue to come out and they enjoy this experience at Jim Patterson Stadium. So, I said it a month or so ago that, at some point as a coach, you ask yourself, when are they going to know you're just really happy at your school and you're at a great school and you're not looking to go anywhere else? But I guess on the other side, you realize there's several coaches that seem to keep being mentioned over the past 2 or 3 years, and maybe it's good to be in that group. Maybe you want to always be in that group. I don't know. It's not something I'm looking for, but I'm very appreciative that I've been lumped in a group of successful coaches, and but we got a lot of work to do still here. And for me, it's I don't like this stuff being about me. I really like it being about the kids. That's why I talked about the kids, talked about the wins, talked about the academic success, and because for these kids, they have a 3-year window. It could be 4 or 5, but many of them, this is a 3-year window they have. And I want this to be the greatest 3 years to this point of their life, greatest experience of their lives, and more importantly, to set them up to succeed. I think that's where I'm super proud that not just what they're doing in pro ball and guys making it to the big leagues, but they're getting that degree and they're going into the community, or they're making this city a better place. They're making this country a better place. And that's what, the older I get, and the older my former players get, you see them get married and have kids and be great ambassadors. So it's just part of the process, and I just kind of roll with it. But as I always like to say, put your head down and stay focused. And as Vince said, I was focused on this team, and I think this team knew I gave them everything I had. As I say, which is healthy for me, I'm not on social media, so I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Facebook, so therefore I don't read everything that's going on. But you hear it, obviously being around it, and but I need to keep things simple and focused. And again, we would have liked to have done a little more this year, but I was really proud of what we accomplished, and excited that these guys are getting better this summer, and super excited as well about the talent coming in.
Dan, Vince talked about the flirting, and you mentioned about you. What does it say about the program you built, or the total package, that 2 years in a row, maybe 2 of the top 5 programs have tried to get you to come to them? I
think it's a celebration about what we have going on here. I think anytime these coaches are being mentioned for these jobs, these coaches are in great situations. And you're not in a great situation because you're a guru with X's and O's. You're in a great situation because, as I've always said, if you want to be good in baseball, you could be good in baseball. Now, it starts at the top, and you need that support from the administration to get great people in here and allow you to get great recruits in here. And so I'd rather it be more of a celebration of our program, that people recognize Louisville baseball as one of the best in the country. And as Garrett informed me before this meeting, there's 292 or 94 Division I teams in the country, and to have the most wins in the last 12 years, man, that blows my mind. And again, celebrate the players for that, and it's a good feeling because the administration and the coaches know we are giving these players all the resources that they need. And so let's celebrate their accomplishments, and let's continue to prepare for the future. I think Vince knows I'm a recruiter at heart, and I'm always thinking of the future. If there's a downfall for me at times, I might not enjoy the present as much as I should. And doesn't mean I don't enjoy our players and what they're doing, but if you get too comfortable and you enjoy the success that you're having now, next year's here before you know it. And you look up, and those Brendan McKays can only be here for so long, and they're gone. And you better be developing younger players. You better be recruiting the next great group of players, because they're going to be here before you know it. And as I've said before, the monster's been built. Man, when we got to feed the monster, and I wouldn't call you media monsters, but the expectations. Let's be honest. I think the expectations are at an all-time high. I think the fans expect it, the media expects it, and I want college baseball to expect it. I want them to expect Louisville to be in a regional, hosting a regional, in a super regional, and when we go to Omaha, go, yep, there's Louisville again. There's the bird with teeth, and there's their fans. And they're a regular, and if we can't be a regular, man, we definitely want to be a regular on the doorstep. We want to be knocking on that doorstep to Omaha every year.
With that said, have you talked with Eric and Raj? Obviously, I know you're not on social media, but a lot of chatter about them being among the best at their jobs. Do you anticipate either one of them getting some kind of offers? Or?
Well, for me, and I live with these guys. I'm with them every day, and I talk to them all the time. They know I want what's best for them and their families. And if there's a head coaching job that's the right fit for them, and that's what they want to pursue, they know, man, I'm behind them, and I know Vince will be behind them as well. I think our goal is always we don't ever want to lose an assistant for a lateral move, and we haven't. Chris Lemonis is the head coach at Indiana. He's doing phenomenal up there. We've got a ton of former players that are really good assistants in all leagues, the SEC, the Big Ten, the AAC. But, you know, if it's not the right situation for them, as Vince talked about me, we want to make sure they're at the highest level, because we do. I mean, I can argue because I'm biased, but Roger Williams and Eric Snyder, you know, what those two guys do day in and day out, what Roger's done with us for 12 years and what Eric's done in these last 4 years, it's impressive. And, you know, he mentioned Adam Vrabel, and, of course, Brian Mundorf's been with me since I got here. So I make it very clear to our student athletes, and Garrett was in our wrap-up season meeting, and we had all our support staff in here, that, guys, look around the room and make sure you realize that what Rachel and Pat Hassel and Zach Farrell and Jeremy Litzinger and the support staff, Chris Morgan and our managers, and what everybody does around these guys to help them be their best. And I say it a lot, you win in life with the right people. And I get a lot of credit for the success, but there is no way I'm doing this by myself, and there's no way we're as successful without all those other people. And we want to continue to keep those great people around.